Welcome back to These Are the Days podcast. We have a special guest on today's episode. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see her, Mirabella May Roloff.
Yeah.
The youngest of the crew.
We got
These are the days.
We got walkie-talkies for the kids watching a movie in the house. We got a monitor going, and we have a baby.
So we're making it happen.
Well,
Tis the season of life. These are the days, right?
These are the days.
We got a train coming now, so you'll probably hear a nice little low rumble.
We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it done. Okay, we're gonna start with a Connect card.
Which, by the way, you guys, Connect cards, it was so cool to see your guys' excitement when we brought them back on pre-order for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Just a reminder to all those who did order the Connect Cards Couples Edition or Connect Cards Family or Legacy, which are our two new decks, they will not be shipping in time for Christmas. So the pre-order window is closed. What question did you pull?
Oh, these are good. These are really good questions.
They will ship early 2025. So excited for you guys to get these cards. The response to the Connect Card Couples deck has been so fun to see, just how you guys have been using the decks. So we're really excited about this product, and we hope we can keep making more versions of it too. So
yeah, and I posted a story that someone texted me. It was an older mom, and she had kids, and she wrote me a novel, and we talked for a little bit, but it was about, she asked she would print off the questions on her own on the internet and ask, man, this is a monster train.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's so loaded.
This is a fully loaded lumber train, probably coming from Portland with a bunch of lumber from the mill. Right? Yeah. Either that
fully loaded from the coast.
Yeah,
right?
or it's coming the other way with logs from the coast.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah, true. Yeah.
So anyways, she was talking about she has this amazing relationship. Her and the husband has this amazing relationship with all three of their boys, and she attributes much of it to asking questions and building this relational trust to this conversation with her boys. Every single day before school, on the way to school, she would pick a card or a question from her printed piece of paper and ask them. And she's like, it had nothing to do with the questions, but what it built over time was I was investigating their lives, and they felt she didn't say this, but I'm parlaying it. They felt investigated, which is cared about, which is noticed, which is mom wants to know about our life, my life. So anyways, I found that encouraging, and she was very excited about the family deck that we have coming, which is for parents and kids.
I feel like one cool thing about that too is like it's an opportunity to be constantly creating an open door for your kids, which is something that I feel like a lot of parenting advice around teenage kids, like that's a really common parenting advice, like just having the open door. Having like a lot of people say, like, you got to stay up late with your teenagers or whatever. Just
totally
physically being there and being available to them, so when they do come to you with something, you're there, like you're ready, you're available. But for like younger kids and older kids, I feel like this is a way to just kind of break that barrier, like we say, where the door's open. Like, here's a question, you can talk about, as we're not forcing you to answer any specific way or thing, but it's like, here's an opportunity to share something without it feeling awkward for you. 10-year-old, 17-year-old, whatever, no matter the age.
Totally.
So,
and like, these are a great tool. We've done all the heavy lifting, and we came up with all these questions, and so we curated them. We think they're great. But there's also, you don't have to buy this to do it. Like, I do something with the kids most nights at the dinner table where I'm like, okay, time to ask Daddy a question. Who's got a question for Daddy? And I mean, Ember will just be like, me, everyone will say me, and I'll go through the line. I'll get to Ember, and she'll be like, how did God exist in nothing and before nothing? It's like, whoa, like, I just gave an opportunity to have that discussion at the dinner table. So it's amazing. I think and
now I think they know to expect it. So Ember's like ready for, Bodhi, last night, I forget what his question was, but he was ready for it. When you're like, Bodhi, you have a question for me? He was like, what did he say?
Yeah,
something about the rock wall, something about building something.
Bodhi's is typically about how something works.
Yeah.
My tool. He's like, how does your saw cut? And I'm like, well, there's a brushless electric motor in there. And I went through this whole thing, and it oscillates back and forth or whatever, and there's gears. And then he goes, no. How does that work? I'm like, well, electricity, you know, he's trying to get to like the atoms of what's going on. Like if I said like, well, power, he'd go, how does power work? You know, he's just like really chasing the how.
Meanwhile, Rad's still stuck in November roll-off family value. Just every time we get to him, I thankful for.
Yeah, and he just
he doesn't quite get the question concept yet. He just wants to tell us what he's thankful
But
for.
Rad he's very, I would say he's much more thoughtful on what he's thankful for.
Than any of them.
Than any of the kids have been.
Because they just know what their default answer is every time. They've been saying it for years, you know?
Well, no. Even at their age.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like
totally.
Rad,
I agree.
Like Rad was like, I thankful for my own oak tree.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't think one of the other kids would have
specific.
been that specific. They would have been like, everything, God, food, you know, whatever.
Yeah. It's true. Even when he prays too, he's very much that way. Like, dear God, thank you for our house. Thank you for our lights, for our fire. You know, he goes on and on.
He goes on and
Sometimes
on.
too long.
Okay, speaking of questions, I pulled 2 random great questions here.
2?
Yeah. This is the first one I saw. What was your first assumption about me when we met?
Some famous pretty boy. Just
Pretty boy?
pretty boy, farm kid, pretty boy though still. Because
Yeah.
you were famous. So I was like, I don't know about this.
So you had negative assumptions, connotations.
I wouldn't say that was that's necessary. Does that have to always be negative? Like, I just thought I didn't know anything about you other than like you were famous. You were on this TV show and you were cute. And when you came to my door, you definitely had like more of a pretty boy look to you than farm kid.
Thank you, Ember.
Anyways.
Hold on. Make sure he watches the movie with you guys and maybe ask him to go potty in 10 minutes.
Ask her if Gigi's still there.
Okay, what's that sound?
The monitor.
Yeah, well, we're going to have that in the episode. So that was your first assumption?
I think I would say, yeah, you were really like handsome. You were more handsome than I expected when you came to my door because you were dressed super nice. And you had your like black pea coat on and like it wasn't like the pictures that I had seen of you. You didn't look like what I would have envisioned you to look like based off like what Kelsey and Mitch had sent me pictures or like that I had seen. This was before social media. So like,
yeah, well, it was like
really
social media was just there.
Yeah, I knew what you looked like from seeing a episode before watching it at my friend's house, but that was about it. You know, like I guess we did have Facebook, so I did see you in your red sweatshirt, your red American Apparel sweatshirt photo, like your profile pic. Well, but no one could friend request you. Remember, you couldn't get friend requested forever. Still probably on Facebook.
Yeah,
because you had too many friend requests.
Yeah, totally.
You say your first impression of me in our book.
I do, but my first impression was fairly judgmental.
Yeah,
it was,
more than mine. So you can't get on me for that.
I had, I have this, or everyone has this, like when you meet a stranger at the door that you're supposed to go on a date with, how you meet that stranger is largely it's gonna say a lot about who you are and what you value, what you care about, type of life you lead, and 2, what your intentions are. In my opinion, like that's how I grew up or whatever. And so, yeah, I was expecting someone to open the door, somewhat
so eager to meet you.
No, not even, but like somewhat ready, dressed in something more than their underwear. And
I wasn't wearing my
maybe
underwear.
like,
it wasn't my underwear.
Hey, come on. It was essentially the same, but like,
it
hey, come on in. So Audrey opens the door, wearing her running buns, and
for non-runners, I was wearing spandex, like spandex shorts, shorts, and a sports bra.
And I just remember going, oh boy, like, who's this public school hooch or something? Like I had this.
I was a slew. You thought I was a slew.
Yeah, at first I was totally.
And I wasn't, but you thought I was.
You were the absolute opposite, but the impression was there.
And
that's part of what
attracted.
That's a part of. Yeah, you were totally ignorant of all that, but that's part of what attracted us to each other. I think is because we flipped norms totally on their heads. Like here I was this at the time, radically like we were, it was height of LPBW, super famous, couldn't go anywhere without a dozen people coming up. But I was just this, farm kid who, I don't want to use the word humble, but like, there were things that came before the show. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And then you answer the door like that, but we're so ignorant of what that said, And so we were really attracted to unraveling and I think figuring out or unpacking the peculiarity of the personality of each other. Like, who is this girl?
Yeah.
I
agree.
And then you were like, who am I? And so we had these very funny first impressions. Mm-hmm. Ask your spouse that.
You said in
Ask
the book,
your spouse.
You were like in the book, you said, I'd make out, but that's it.
Yeah, I'd make out.
That's what you said your first impression of me was originally. From
yeah.
The
Yeah.
I did think actually when I remember back, like when I really remember, because sometimes I'm like, how much of this is just like things I've said over the years versus like what I really actually remember, Mm-hmm. And when I think back and remember now, like I remember getting ready upstairs in my parents' house while you were downstairs in the kitchen. I remember thinking like, wow, what a kind guy that he doesn't know me. He doesn't know my parents. He has no idea where he is. He's just sitting in my kitchen waiting. I do remember thinking like, what a gentleman, what a kind guy. And then like the fact that you came to you were early, you were early.
Yeah.
You opened the door for me to get in the car. No one had ever done that really for me before, I don't think, ever. And then opened the door for the restaurant too. I'm pretty sure I probably tried to open the door to go into the restaurant and you like reached for it. Yeah. So like those little things, I did think you were a gentleman.
Good.
On a good note, like I did think you were kind and a gentleman. And I was like, wow, that wasn't the norm compared to like the high school boys at my school.
Yeah.
You didn't act like them. So
totally.
It's different.
Yeah. And you didn't act like the high school girls at my high school.
But what did the high school girls at your high school act like? I feel like there wasn't as much a stereotype.
Oh, there totally was. It just was different than yours,
What was the stereotype for Faith high school girls?
I don't know. I shouldn't get into that.
Yeah, maybe you should.
Next question. Just because we're going to do two. Because what is your biggest pet peeve of mine? From positive to negative here.
Sloth mode.
What?
1,000% sloth mode.
Funny.
Oh my gosh. Just the lack of urgency.
Yeah, keeps the peace in the home.
No, not the peace in the marriage. The sloth mode, the like, hey, you got to run back inside and grab something. We're late. And you just slowly walk back out the door, slowly lock the door. Like just zero sense of urgency for anything ever. And I get because I run everywhere.
Yeah.
I literally move quickly all day long. It's probably why I get 11 miles of steps in a day because
I
just move really quickly and you move really slow. I would say that's one of our biggest differences is like how quickly I move and how slowly you move.
Yeah.
How meticulous and just unhurried and
I'm unhurried.
Unurgent and
I'm
unstressed.
Walking. I try my best to be a walking Sabbath.
Zero anxiety for Jeremy. Just a constant state of
Zero anxiety.
So you can't be frustrated.
Yeah, I love
with
that.
Our 4-year-old son, who is a replica.
Gosh, it's so frustrating.
Takes after somebody.
My biggest pet peeve.
Yeah, what's your biggest pet peeve?
You?
Oh, be careful.
Yeah, I don't have one, babe. No.
Oh, sure.
There's a few. The one I will say
I won't judge you for it. It's okay.
Lay
it on me.
Is the and some of it is of course time, and you're gonna blah blah, but like you just leave. You leave doors open, drawers open, lights on, clothes places, and it's just, it doesn't even take an extra second. It takes just a thought to turn off the light switch, to shut the door, to close the drawer, to shut the fridge when you go and do a diaper. Like,
for sure, I'm horrible at the lights and the doors.
Yeah.
The fridge. Most of that is literally like postpartum forgetfulness. So I'm not as bad about that in not having baby seasons. Yeah, I'm doing a million things and I forget. Truly, like I forget.
You're standing in front of the fridge. You get the milk and you go.
Yeah, 100% I forget.
No,
Jeremy, you don't know what it's like.
This fridge door should not need shutting. You've been programmed your whole life.
Speaking of programming, I put my wallet in the freezer for 3 weeks. Do you think that's
true?
Like, okay.
Yeah, but that's I can totally understand that. Like I've put my wallet places, reaching for things.
Yeah, but it's just you just do stupid things when you're sleep deprived and when you're not, and when you're hormonal and you're.
Well, it doesn't matter how and why or when. It's a pet peeve.
Yeah, no, I take it. I receive a pet peeve. Lights for sure, and doors. I'm horrible. My parents used to get on me for that my whole life too. I was always bad about that. Oh, what's your pet peeve, girl? You got a pet peeve? When Mama leaves your sight line?
She got no room for
line
pet
of
peeves.
sight?
Too much love.
She's just hanging out here. Look at this precious little nugget. She's a precious little teething girl. Doesn't want to sleep at all this week. But she's precious.
She's so precious. She's just a
So
love
we just
bundle.
take it.
Too distracting for us to have her here.
Yeah.
Did we want to chat about programming?
Yeah.
Yeah. Forgot what reminded us about that.
The pictures.
What pictures?
The pictures, like photos in the kids' room. Ember's picture.
Oh, well, yeah, that's one way we've been doing it. But something happened.
You were the one that wanted it.
Something happened, and we were like, oh, we should talk about that on the podcast. And it was just reminding ourselves, really, it was what we wanted to do. And by proxy, reminding everyone, like, the important. So, oh, yeah, and the analogy, that's what it was. I think I was setting up a computer over here or something. Anyways, I've been thinking about that. I always am thinking about programming, but I feel like you and I have been reawoken to how programmed we are. Mm-hmm. And by extension, when we look at our kids, we realize like if you were to look at them and think, wow, they are a completely empty hard drive. So how they eat is going to be exactly a byproduct of how they are taught and told to eat, you know, or how they think or what they do. And I think one thing that's like been, or do you got to deal with her? Is she?
I think she got a hair in her mouth.
Oh, girl.
My hair just got all in her mouth. Hey, Mama gotcha. Keep going.
Yeah, one thing that's like really been, we just keep revisiting is with our tone in the home specifically and how we handle stress, because it hasn't been that great, I would say, lately. Mm-hmm. Granted, it's our busiest time, and you know there's child care help and all the things or whatever, but stress is inevitable. It's like it's really, so how you manage stress is obviously the linchpin, but the programming that, you know, the teaching of our kids of how to handle stress, or even like going to Zoo Lights the other day. Yeah. You guys get this story. Yeah. This is actually what reminded us to talk about it. Okay. Was the other day we went to Zoo Lights and and then
he went to see me.
We'll tell the story here in a second. It all went down crazy or whatever, but afterwards we were thinking about it and we were like, how did we just tell our kids to handle this moment when they forget their backpack or they forget whatever it is, their shin guard for a soccer game, or, you know, how are they going to respond and how are they going to react? Because they're never going to do what you tell them to do. They're always going to do what they've seen you do. Right. And so we had a big, I would say, realignment or wake up call the other day to Zoo Lights. Do you want to tell the Zoo Lights story?
Yeah. So Zoo Lights, it's something we do every year. We live about 20 minutes in no traffic to the Oregon Zoo. And every year they cover it with lights. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's like a walking path.
And you walk through the whole thing. It's amazing.
They go all out, and there's like interactive light stuff, like music, mushrooms you can tap.
Yeah. So we always do it. But it's, you know, you have to do it at night when it's dark, which means it takes actually like us an hour to get there in traffic. And it starts at the earliest time slot you can go is 4 or 5. So we usually go at 4 or 5. So it takes us an hour to get there. Obviously, it's the middle of dinner. So every year, it's always like...
We get Chick-fil-A on the way. We get
Chick-fil-A. It's like our once-a-year Chick-fil-A. At this point now, we used to get it so much more. But then we go, we get it, and then in this situation, our van was out of fuel. So we're already late, right? Because it's like the first time of the season where we have to bundle the kids up really well. So it's finding all the mittens and gloves and everyone's like warm winter clothes and getting that all bundled up, making sure you have the snacks and the water bottles and the right stroller and the blankets and the flashlights for being outside in dark and all that. And then you go to the Chick-fil-A, get food. Yeah. And this is where it starts to go wrong. Like the Chick-fil-A order is sitting on the table for 20 minutes and Jared's just waiting for it and they never hand it to him.
Yeah.
So we become even more late. Then We have to go get fuel because the van's out of fuel. I realized I left the pacifier at home for Mirabella, so no pacifier, and she's teething. So that was the first like, oh crap, do we turn around and go back for that? You can't just like get a pacifier at the zoo, right? So that was the first bummer. Then I realized when we're like halfway to the zoo that I forgot my coat, and it's 36 degrees, 37 degrees out. I forgot my coat. So no pacifier, no coat. We're super late. You have like a 30-minute window.
They might not let us in.
Yeah, you have a 30-minute window to get into the zoo. So we're going to be sure that they're going to let us in at this point. We load all the kids up in the stroller. And we're stressed and cranky. And like there was a point where we're like, do we turn around and go back?
Kids are grumpy and all this stuff.
But it's expensive. Like you pay for it too. And you can't, like you pick that day to go. Okay, we've been using non-toxic laundry detergent for the past 7 years, but it never left our clothes smelling clean. It got our clothes clean, but never left them smelling clean while also getting out the stains. And so I finally discovered a laundry detergent that does that. That is non-toxic, clean ingredients, very affordable, and it gets the stains out, safe for your whole family, baby clothes, adult clothes, farm clothes in our case, lots of loads of laundry a day. And it leaves your clothes smelling fresh and clean. So we truly love the scent. This is how it works. You just pour one of these little packets into the reusable jug and fill it with water. I have a deal running right now for you guys. If you want to try Truly Free laundry detergent, you can get 300 loads for free with the link that's going to be in the show notes description. For comparison, it is actually more expensive to get the amount of loads of laundry that you're getting with this deal in a Tide equivalent. So this is a killer deal for a safe laundry detergent for your family. No synthetic fragrances, clean ingredients, and actually works. As a mom of 4 doing laundry loads every single day, I attest to it. My husband loves the smell that it now leaves on his clothing, and it's awesome stuff, super affordable. So if you don't want to take advantage of the 300 free loads deal and you just want to try one load of laundry detergent or some of their other cleaning products, which are all non-toxic, you can use my code Audrey30 to get 30% off your order as well. Again, all of this is linked in the description below. The link for the 300 free loads offer and the link to shop anything from Truly Free and use my code Audrey30 for 30% off. So you can't get money back.
So so anyways, it was like it was tense.
But tell them what Ember did.
Hold on, and it wasn't fun. It wasn't very fun going up to there, but we're almost there. I'm like, guys, something our book agent said a long time ago that I've always said since is like, don't borrow worry. Yeah. It's like, let's not borrow worry. They're going to let us in. Let's just pray that, they're going to, whoever we talk to is going to be in a happy mood, see the family and be warmed by our love and let us in. And so that wasn't how we were behaving though. That's what I said, And so it was just interesting. Wait, what did Ember do?
Well, so then we get there. No, we didn't. I was like, maybe a binky will turn up. Didn't find one, but you had an extra flannel, so you gave me your coat and had an extra flannel. That was a saving grace. I don't know if we could have done it with it.
No,
because I carried Mira in the baby carrier and was planning on wearing my coat like around her to keep her warm. So that was critical. But then when we got in the car afterwards, we were like, wow, guys, we did it. Like, it was really hard getting it because the kids were worried. They were stressed that we weren't going to make it, and they were bumming. And Ember was like, Mom, I prayed that we would find another binky and another coat. I prayed that a binky would just turn up. And she goes, what did she say? She goes, sometimes I do silent prayers. Yeah, I was like, really, Ember? She goes, yeah, and everything. And then what else did she say? Everything worked out. And I was like, Ember, thank you so much for praying. Like, everything worked out. But then I apologized. I was like, we were kind of.
So we apologized to them because everything worked out perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So the stress and the chaos and the not fun experience leading up to the experience was completely unavoidable. It was a mental shift.
Yeah.
And we got caught in the trap, right? We got caught in that trap, and it almost ruined the night, but it didn't. It turned out to be a fantastic super time. Fun. But we were talking about this the other day, and the program, like it wasn't good programming. Mm-hmm. So like we were at the computer board, at the circuit board, the motherboard of our kids, typing in the program that they are going to operate and run their life on.
Yeah.
And I don't think we typed in. We could have done better. It could have been a better program, a better code. Now nothing's permanent. Everything can be overwritten and corrected. But like that analogy I just love because it's convicting.
Yeah.
And it's helpful, and it makes it clear, like, oh yeah, that is exactly what's happening.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that you always give as an example of programming that we're really big about is artwork and things on the walls and our visual displays in our home.
Yeah.
Just things that will be subtle programming for our kids without being so direct. Sorry, am I moving too much? Without being so directly, you know, but it's just like this subtle. It's like, tell the story about Ember and the tree, picture in her room.
Yeah, like,
have we told that on the podcast?
I think we have, but we'll just touch on that real quick. Like, years ago, Ember was just a year old or something, and this is when we first started to think about the subtleties of programming. But I was like, you know, I was very influenced and programmed through Pooh Bear, and I remember like my swamp fort and all these other things, forts I built on the farm. They were all byproducts in some sense of what I watched or consumed, or books. And so those all have like profound effects. And it's like, of course they do, obviously. But when you actually realize it, it's just this like new enrichment of how to like train and guide your kids through life. Because it isn't just what you do and what you say. It's all the peripheral extra stuff around, like, you know, artwork on the wall, like Audrey was saying. So like we hang artwork in each of the kids' rooms specific. For like the big wallpaper we put in the boys' room has a massive tree fort and these animals, and it's just awesome. And sure, we could have done that totally ignorantly just because it's cute and fun, but like we did it very intentionally because we were like, I want the boys to have adventure programmed into them. And sure enough, that's all Bodhi talks about is the tree fort, and when are we going to build a tree fort, and what's it going to look like, and how's it going to work, and all that stuff. So there's the obvious conscious programming, and then there's the less obvious subconscious programming. And I don't know, we needed that reminder this week, and the Zoo Lights experience was a big wake-up call, or I should say a reminder to, hey, you know, get it in gear. Don't snap out too often. But when you do, pull it back together. So
yeah, one other thing I would say on the programming thing, just with the visual displays in our home thing, we really like artwork, you and I feel like that's something kind of unique to our home. Like we spend a lot of money on Facebook Marketplace artwork that we find because we like the old, real, original photos that are just inspire imagination and inspire inspiration and
the outdoors.
And yeah, sorry, I was trying to block her from the mic a little bit, but and so I think just having those throughout our home. But one of the things that I remember, like I feel like most people can remember a picture in their parents' house growing up, some sort of art piece that they stared at constantly. Yeah. Like I remember in our bathroom downstairs growing up, like our main bathroom, which was like the timeout bathroom, there was a little tile plaque on it, and it had a painted quote on it, and it was in our bathroom my entire life growing up. It said, "When I stand before God at the end of my life, I hope that I would not have a single bit of talent left, and I could say I use everything you gave me." And I remember reading that quote 1,000 times going to the bathroom, my downstairs, the main bathroom of my parents' house, and when I was in trouble. But that quote was like part of the inspiration to then Always More, which became like my life mantra and verse, because that quote, when I stand before God at the end of my life, it started as I applied it to running. So like when I stand before God at the end of my race, I hope that I don't have a single bit of talent left, and I can say I used it all. Like I used everything you gave me. But that's kind of where Always More came from, was this dig deep, like I always have a little bit more and I can use it all. Like, because there's going to be more. I can use everything you gave me, and I know that you're going to fill me with more. That was the subtle programming thing. You know, that's not artwork, but that's a quote just on the wall in a visual place where I looked at it all the time growing up, and it had a super powerful impact on my life, you know? Yeah. So I think it can be all kinds of things, you know? It can be all kinds of things, but yeah, I think it's something that Jeremy and I really want to be more intentional about with our kids. And that's why we love the old artwork, just, you know, putting old artwork around in their homes, I feel like is a really good way to do that, or in their rooms and things. So
yeah, I think there's also like, you know, I went through so many remodels, and I remember, this is probably why I'm like allergic to clutter now. And we don't do our room, we don't do a very good job right now. We're in a crazy season. So I think we've consciously given ourselves like, okay, there's some grace right now. Mm-hmm. But we're both looking forward to the day where we can snap out of it. But it's hard because the kids' laundry alone is crazy. But I want to get rid of my entire closet, and I want to have like 7 flannels.
You've said this on the podcast for sure.
Yeah, and it's so hard. It's so hard. The time the energy it takes to even cull it is like crazy.
Yeah. Also, we just have a horrible closet. We have no closet.
Yeah, we have no closet.
We have horrible clothing storage setup.
Project,
it's just bad.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, clutter. So like I was programmed very much so with like how the house typically was because of all the remodels we were going through. Anyways,
it's okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna ramble on that anymore. But
yeah, but you think? Do you remember being subtly programmed by anything in your childhood home growing up?
Yeah,
was there besides the farm itself?
Yeah, the farm.
Its own visual display.
Yeah, there's a couple photos my parents had that one of them's hanging up in Spring River Cabin.
Which one?
The one above the bed.
That was in your childhood home?
Yeah. Yeah, it's big,
really?
Huge.
The duck one?
Yeah.
Or the pheasants or whatever?
Yeah, I forget where that was hanging. I think it was my dad's office. No, he had this other one hanging which was a cowboy running through aspen trees, and in the aspen trees there were these little dots. And if you looked closely, the dots made up a bunch of Indians running on horses as well. And they were like chasing the cowboy, but the dots were supposed to be like, it was supposed to be like the spirit of the Indian, you know what I mean? But like you could really kind of, and I would have stared at it for hours trying to find the Indians, the Native Americans. Yeah, then there's the cowboy with his 2 horses. And that picture left a pretty big impact on me, I remember.
Okay, one thing.
We have that too, I think.
This is kind of a random thing.
A copy of it.
Can I say kind of a random thing, but tangent of this, but like I think it kind of fits into the conversation of programming specific to these are the days, this season of life. Like we, in this season of life, like growing up, I remember in my house, my parents had 2 doors, our pantry door and our laundry room door, that was covered in like our artwork, our achievements, our just accolades, like anything that we did, whether, you know, if someone won a medal or something for a, like most improved athlete or what, things like that, our school pictures, our soccer pictures, ski pictures, whatever. And so I was like, those 2 doors felt like we were a part of the home. Like my parents didn't care what they looked like. They didn't visually look super aesthetic, which, you know, a lot of homes in the 90s didn't, but I actually do feel like mine was pretty aesthetic because my mom was super into that.
I wish less homes looked aesthetic and more homey.
But I think like there is sort of this resurgence in our generation to like going away from the minimalistic, super clean, everything has to be designed just so, and bringing back some of like that, let our kids be kids in our home. Like let there be the messy toy corner. It's okay, because these are the days, it's a season of life. And I think for the longest time, I really wanted to have a space for everything. I really wanted like a good space for the baby bathtub and a good space for the play mat, the padded play mat and the baby jungle gym, and a good space for all of the red machines to get parked every night, and a good space for the high chair to go, and just all of these like big obnoxious things that take up a lot of space in your home in this season of life. And I've come to realize like now after this 4th baby, how quickly those things come and go as space taker-uppers in your house. Like what a short season it is that you have the baby mat on the floor in the middle of your living room. So don't worry about finding a space for it. Like it's okay, just let it be there.
Yep.
You know, like it's such a you'll have such a long season of your life where your living room can look perfect and it can have
it's great.
You know what I mean? But it's like I think a lot of people just are like, they get stressed by the fact that they don't have a place for those things, or that those things are taking up so much space in their homes, because social media has made us see what a home should look like, right, in its ideal state. But the reality is people's homes don't look like that, and it's okay. They shouldn't. Like these are the days. This is the season of life, and like it's okay if you have the baby bouncer in the middle of the living room for a year. it's just okay, you know, like, and don't spend the extra energy trying to like put it away, or like, I'm trying to think of other examples. I know we've done a lot of funky things over the years of ways that we've tried to hide things or put things
not
away.
Not really hide. Like, it's
clean them up.
At the end of the day, kids stuff is clutter.
Yeah.
It's just clutter.
But it's just such a short time.
You have to switch that mindset of like, it's not clutter right now. It's their life.
Yeah.
And by proxy, it's your life. And so it's okay. Yeah, we had to come to that conclusion. We've done better in the last couple of years, but it's still a thing. You know, like when I walk through the house and I see clutter everywhere, I mean, I go into like throw it all away mode.
Yeah, same.
And I'm just
rage cleaning.
Yeah,
totally.
I don't even want to say what the stuff I've thrown away. I can't deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Rage cleaning. Oh, that's exactly what it is.
It's a mom thing. Like, really? Moms rage clean. Yeah.
Sheesh.
It's like a way to get out your stress and energy and just rage editing, rage cleaning.
Yeah. And one of my
frantically organizing a drawer.
As hard as it is in the evening, putting the kitchen to bed is like, oh my goodness, like we have a sense of control on the home.
Yeah. The kitchen for me is the thing that has to be clean every night. Everything else, I'm like, okay. But for how much time I spend in there and how much I work, it has to be cleaned after every meal. I can't let it get, because otherwise it just is, it's so overwhelming. That's one thing that I've decided to like put my foot in the ground on. The other spaces I've let go. You know, we reset the living room and family room at night, but for the most part.
I know we still need to do our remodel, or at least where our house stands right now, our remodel tour, which we're so late to. I don't even know if people are going to care, but it's fun to show because we spent a lot of time and energy on it, but we did not finish. I mean, we didn't finish most of the spaces. They're just kind of empty boxes, and so that's why we never did the thing. Is because we're like, well, it's not done. Why? Like we still don't even have lights hung in some spots, and like no furniture in this entire room. So it's but we've realized this is probably going to be a long process. Let's just do a tour now, and then we can do, stuff as they come up later. That being said, what I'm trying to get to is our problem right now is we don't have storage in spaces we do need storage. Yeah. So then everything just finds its corner, and it's like we gotta get, even if it's just shelves I throw up, which I did in the laundry room, right? Like those will get us by for a while. But anyways, we're normal. Everyone has their things, normal. Their spots.
I was praying with my mentor last night and just sharing with her about just like
You want me to hold her for a second?
Yeah, the fact that our house,
I want to. Let me see.
The fact that our house is just one of the big stressors in our house because of that, because we have so many unfinished things in our house and unfinished projects where we don't have, all of our bathrooms are unfinished. Jeremy's building a rock wall. So the playroom, the space that the kids are supposed to go, just covered in sawdust all over the floor, but he can't finish because the roof is being built, or we have a plumbing issue and our master bathroom decides to flood randomly one night, or because we didn't finish remodeling our house. So we have a lot of spaces that are just not done. And we ripped out all of our storage. We lost all of our linen closets, all of our coat closets. Our laundry room has zero storage. It's just a washer and a dryer and the tile floor in our beautiful door, but there is no storage. So we had to get really creative with the places for things, where things go. And I was just kind of venting, I feel like the clutter visually assimilates to the clutter mentally, emotionally.
100%.
There's a tie. And so I think the stress of just that in our home has caused stress from other things. And we were just doing some listening prayer, and we both kind of heard in the same similar vein, but just I heard from the Lord one thing at a time. And she heard just pick one thing, basically just one thing at a time, just one project in our home at a time. I think often you and I feel like we got to tackle it all because we see it all, but we have to just hone back and say now what is the one? Then we continued in our prayer, and I was like, okay, Lord, what is the one thing? And there were some other things that he spoke to about cleaning up the mess in my heart internally, not just the mess in our family room and living room externally. But I think it was just a good reminder that like, yeah, you can't do it all at once, one thing at a time. And I think for us, I really felt like the Lord was like, just finish one thing at a time. You'll feel better if you finish one thing at a time. Yeah.
Death Star. We need to,
and we aren't, we start a lot.
Which is a business.
We're starters.
Acronym that we're starters and ADHD and all that stuff. But like what I mean by that is like project to project to project, we start a lot. But, it's same with our business, right? We like when Dan was first on 6 years ago and he was on board, we had this terminology of like turret mode or Death Star mode. And turret mode is what we were doing at the time. We just showed up to work and just sat in the turret, and the next flashy thing, email, we were just firing at whatever came into our vicinity. Yeah. Whereas it was obvious that the more productive thing to do would be to Death Star something. So collectively as a team, focus and zoom our energy in on something and send a Death Star blast, and then and then aim the Death Star at something else.
The Death Star was like writing our books, self-publishing the journals, like that,
whatever.
Those were Death
updating
Stars.
The website,
yeah,
product images, product creation.
Yeah, the deep work stuff.
Yeah, time alone to actually come up with ideas and useful tools. And so we need to get back in Death Star mode for the home, but, which by proxy would be our life, right? Because again, it's a as above, so below, as within, so without. Totally. Like, it's all a mirror of itself. And we talk a lot about home health and holiness. So this episode falls largely into the home bucket, which affects our health and affects our holiness. Like everything is so intertwined. Like we were saying, like the mess and clutter in your home affects so many other things, and that's kind of where we're at right now. So we're just mess and clutter too, like
one at a time.
I mean, we live in America. I mean, we are a very unique social example in the grand scheme of human history, and clutter, I think, is definitely up there on one of the, as far as world history goes, unique things, but extremely relevant toxic traits for Americans. And so I want to nip it in the bud. Let's end it there. Anything else? It. Christmas is coming.
Nope. Christmas is coming.
We got babies to tend to. The movie's over, I think.
Yeah. That's it.
All right.
Okay. We'll see you guys next week. Last episode before Christmas break. And then we'll take a break until the new year, but we'll be back in 2025. And really excited to share with you guys. Actually, we had a good idea for an episode that we're going to do in early 2025 about just walking through our family values for the year and kind of.
Yeah. We have an amazing family value schedule, and it has just made. Yeah. It's made it so easy. And we think more people should do it. More families should do it. Also, we were going to do a work episode because people are always wondering, like, the grandmas on Facebook, moms on Facebook are no longer saying like, what do you do for work? Because I think it's that ship has sailed. People realize that like, oh wow, there's maybe some money to be made on the internet.
And poof, content just doesn't just like magically be created. It takes time.
So we were gonna do an episode if it's interesting, and we'll probably do like a poll on Instagram or something of like, if that's even worth time to do, but like what we do for work, how we self-publish books, what our kind of goals are, and how affiliate marketing works, how brand partnerships work,
the MLM space,
how to monetize your Instagram, the MLM space and why it's
changing a lot,
how it's changed a lot from what it used to be, and how it's, I think, a more favorable option for lots of companies now, which is why you're seeing so many companies move into that business model. How anyone can make money off the internet. There's just so much. The internet's a massive, massive world. And so, we were going to do kind of maybe a podcast about that. But
but the Family Values Planner, just heading into January, if you don't have that yet, I think it's still on sale right now for our holiday discounts.
Yeah.
But it's super affordable. It's like $10.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's $10.
Podcast 10, I think you can still get 10% off it too. But it is such a helpful tool going into the new year, because in case you don't know what it is, just really quick, it will help you come up with 12 family values that are your family's core values and align them to the months of the year, and help you create like a little 1 to 2 sentence blurb about each one that you can instill those values with your kids throughout the months of the year. And it also gives all of our favorite book recommendations, shows, movies, podcasts, crafts, ideas, free things to do with your kids that will help you align those values like align to those values for the months of the year. And it is like life changing. I mean, for this year, this is our second year really implementing it and coming to the year end, like our kids.
Well, we've adapted our process over the time, but this is our second year in full affirmation of like, this is a really good
monthly
system.
model.
Like this is a really good system because we actually added values to make it 12. That might sound like a lot to a lot of people. Like, oh, that's way too many. That's your No. It's actually easier to find 12 things that you want your kids, that you just want to instill into your family or talk about as a family, and then associate those to a month than it is to come up with, I guess you could do one per quarter. You could use the same model and just do one per quarter and have 4 or something. But
yeah. Anyways, it's called the Family Values Planner. You can get it at beating50%.com. Get it because we're going to talk about it heading into the new year and do a fun episode about it. But otherwise,
it's a digital product, so to just get emailed to you, you print it, and then you go through the worksheet and the workbook and stuff that comes with it. Or not workbook, pages, PDF. Anyways, appreciate you guys.
Thanks for bearing with Mirabella May here.
Yeah, we got
See you next week.
Kids to tend to.